Let's take a look at getting some metal tones in bias. And I think it helps to kind of think of metal tones as being in two categories, rhythm versus lead. And I think this is especially true of the high gain metal tones, because for a lot of metal lead playing, you really want a super saturated, high sustain, high gain tone. And that allows you to play with a really light touch for the sort of speed and agility that we want when we're playing metal. But sometimes that can be too much gain for the real chunky sort of rhythm playing, and you end up getting a lot of string noise that you're not looking for. So let's start by looking at rhythm tones first in bias. So in the metal section, I'm just going to start with one of the presets here, and I'll start with the Mark IIc, which is modeling a sort of old 80s era Mesa Boogie here. Alright, now let's go into bias mode and let's start playing with some of the settings a little bit and see if we can liven this up a little bit. Now the first place I'm going to start is in the preamp section. You can see this amp is configured for 5 stages of gain, which matches to the architecture of the Mesa Boogie amps. Let's play with the cathode follower tubes and listen to the tonal differences in the 3 options that we have there. Let's start with the 12AX7. Try the 12AT7. A little more in your face maybe. Try the 12AU7. I think I like the 12AT7s the best. Now let's go, and I'm going to dial up the gain knob a little bit. Alright, so I like the way it cuts in the middle, but sometimes when I get down to those low notes, it gets a little muddy. So let's see if we can't clear that up a little bit in this stage. Let's also try changing the gain from normal to bright. Alright, I think I like that a little better. Now let's see if we can't recapture a little bit of warmth when I hit those 3rd and 4th strings. Let's go over to the tone stack and see if a different tone stack will kind of dial in a little more what I'm looking for. Now right now we've got a tone stack topology set of American tread plate, and again this sort of matches to the Mesa Boogie kind of amp that this preset's trying to model. But let's experiment a little bit and let's try American 5153, which will map to the sort of PV era 5150s. Okay, I think I like that. Now I just want to recapture a little bit of the mids in there. So let's go over to the cabinet and the mic. And what we have right now is a 4x12 tread plate, again, matching to the sort of Mesa Boogie preset that we've got. And let's just try moving the mic. We're going to stick with those cabinets. We're just going to move the mic a little closer to on axis. Alright, not bad. Let's take a look at the transformer. Now the transformer typically really has to do with evening out the power between AC and DC, but it does end up having a kind of sonic effect on the amp. So under transformer type we have 3 basic types, American, British, and Fat style. And the difference between these is subtle, but sometimes it can be the missing piece that you're looking for when you're trying to dial in that perfect tone. So right now I have it set to Fat style. Let's try American style. Let's try British style. Definitely sounds a little thicker. Now let's switch back to Fat style, which is what we had originally. Alright, I think I like British style the best of all of those. I'm going to go ahead and save this as a preset. I'll tap that disk icon, and if I hit Save Amp here, I'm going to overwrite what I have. I'm going to create a new setting here, and I'm going to choose Save as New. And I'm going to call this Metal Rhythm. Cool. Now that's done, and you'll notice it's saved up here in the Custom section. Now normally the presets we've been looking at to this point have been in the Factory section, but Custom is where your presets will be saved. Let's take a look at a lead tone. Let's go back into the metal category and let's choose Triple Tread Plate this time. Cool, now this time I really want to up the gain on this thing. Let's hit bias mode and dive underneath the covers. Let's start again by tweaking the preamp section. And again, because this is modeled on a Mesa and the sort of modern metal amp architecture, you'll notice that we have multiple stages of gain here. So let's just start cranking everything up. Let's try this. Let's also try biasing the tubes a little hotter. Alright, we're getting in the ballpark. Let's move over to the tone stack and see if we can dial in something even more face melting than that. Now under the presets, I'm going to choose Metal 5153. Alright, let's take some of that bass out. Now let's go over to the transformer section. We have it set to British style, but let's try moving it to American style. So I remember earlier when we were dialing in a rhythm tone that the American transformer seemed to lose some of that bottom end flab. Alright, I like that. Let's go over to the cabinets, we'll play with that a little bit and see if we can get something we like. We have the tread plate here, but I'm going to switch over to the green 25. Let's move the mic over a little bit. And we have a 414 dialed up here. Let's switch it to a 57 and see if we like that sound a little better. I think I'm going to stick with the 414. Alright, we've got a basic tone dialed in. Let's export this to Jam Up and throw some effects on. Alright, so in this effects chain I've got a noise gate. I also have a reverb enabled at the end. Let's throw a delay on here too. So you can see the possibilities are nearly endless. So again, don't be afraid to experiment with different combinations. And even if you start with a preset that seems like one kind of amp and you've kind of mutated into something else, don't be afraid to try all the different combinations. And when you find one you like, don't forget to save it off.